All right. Welcome, everybody. It's all good to have you all here on this lovely morning. DigiBiz really welcomes you all in finding a way on how do we shape and adopt new technology to grow our small businesses, to be more inclusive in the way we do our stuff. And really, our webinar topic today is getting it done, organizing yourself and the demands on your time using digital tools. So it's very nice because the way we are really going to approach this topic is with different lenses. And you'll hear more from my colleague Rashida as she introduces our speakers, but one of our speaker looks at it as the technology that we use, and one will speak around, just managing time, and one will speak about managing time with the lens of a woman. Of course, it is Women's Month. On that note, while we have Rashida unmuting and introducing our speakers, please can I have the party reactions to celebrate the women? How is that as an option? Party emojis, celebrating women on this Women Month, celebrating our mothers, and now we're going to celebrate our mothers with some hearts. So now we're just seeing the hearts coming up, heart, supporting our mothers, heart, supporting our sisters, supporting all our women from the past and in the future and the current ones. On that note, over to you, Rashida. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tobeka. Thank you. Just to introduce our panel. For those of you who are new, we have actually people from our DigiBiz coaches, our actual coaches in the program. So that's very exciting on the panel, and as well as CRM expert. I'll give you some detail now, but I'm just amazed and want to just wish all the mothers and the women happy Mother's Day. I'm sorry, not Happy Mother's Day, Happy Women's Day. So before, let's go into it. So let's introduce our first panelist, who is Ashley Rasebota. He is one of our DigiBiz coaches, definitely, and he's also the managing principal and president of Nguako Dasi International. He's an angel investor, and he specializes in entrepreneurial and supply development. That's a little bit about Ashley. He'll take us through a little bit about productivity and managing your time, etc. And then we've also got Tanya Cook-Tonason, who is the director at Blue Wave. So something very interesting about Blue Wave, if you search the top CRM productivity apps in South Africa, Blue Wave almost always comes up. So we have got an expert in the room in terms of, applications for CRMs and productivity. As well as Tanya has also got 20 years in the customer relationship management field. So we really brought that expertise from a digital perspective on how to be productive. And then our third speaker is none other than Nelisiwe Mabuyane, also one of our loved DigiBiz coaches. She is the founding director of Innometrics Africa, and she's a certified coach who specializes on personal development, business mastery, and of course, self-mastery. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from our coaches and also Tanya, our new speaker. And without further ado, we'll hear from Ashley first, I believe. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rashida, for the introduction and for the welcome. Good morning once more to all the entrepreneurs and ecosystem enablers and all those who are joining us for the first time. You haven't made a mistake. You're at the right place on a Friday morning. While you're preparing for a weekend, you are most welcome. Thank you. I've always been fascinated by my friends who run Comrades Marathon, because they have some passion that I don't really, understand. I always thought they are crazy, you know. And in 2019, I decided to join them while they were preparing for their Comrades Marathon. I did it for almost 3 months. And after that, I have learned a few things. I've learned that there are similarities between running Comrades and running a business. And what are those similarities? Number one, if you're running Comrades, all Comrades runners have 12 hours to complete the race and receive a medal. If you run over or above 12 hours, you don't get a medal. So you haven't achieved your goal as a Comrades runner. Secondly, as an entrepreneur, all entrepreneurs have 24 hours in a day. So it all depends on how you use your 24 hours. If you don't achieve the goals that you set for yourself for the day, that means you're not successful on that day because you haven't achieved your goals. So Comrades, marathon runners, they have 12 hours, you have 24 hours. So it all depends on how you use the time that is allocated to you and understanding the rules of the game. So those are the two similarities I saw between Comrades Marathon and running your own business. But the question is, why some of the runners are able to run Comrades Marathon within 12 hours and under 12 hours? Why? Why are some entrepreneurs able to get things done with the 24 hours they have and even get to do more? That's the big question. And in my research, I found that there are two big things. Those two things are conditioning and mindset. You might have all the tools that you need, to support you as a Comrades Marathon runner. You have a good coach. Those are the tools. In business, you might have digital tools, but you still need to make sure that somehow you take action, because just having tools only, it won't necessarily help. So those two things I found to be very important in terms of why certain Comrades runners make it within 12 hours and why certain entrepreneurs don't make it within the time that has been allocated. So during this masterclass, I'm going to focus on three key elements that normally make us either to get things done or not get things done. So the three things are, I don't know if everyone can see my screen that I'm sharing.
Perfect, Ashley.
The three things that I'll be talking about is, one is prioritizing, and the second one is procrastination, and the third one is about creating order in your life and in your business. So all these things are mindset and conditioning things. Technology will come as an enabler, and that will technology will then make you to be a winner of Comrades. Technology alone won't make you a winner. You need to be well conditioned and also to have a growth mindset. So let's look about setting priorities. Former President of the United States, President Dwight Eisenhower once said, "What is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important." And a lot of management consultants like Stephen Covey and Laura Stack went on and they brought this idea into mainstream. So I'm going to be sharing with you this Eisenhower matrix that is on the screen. And this is the time to take a piece of paper and pen so that you can take some notes, because this is a masterclass. So if we look at this matrix on our screen, there are 4 quadrants. Let's look at quadrant 1. Quadrant 1, we say the issues there, they are urgent and important. And these are the things that you need to, they need to be done now, right? They are urgent and important. They need to be done now. But how do we define something to be urgent? Something is urgent if it has a deadline attached to it, right? So we need to understand what is urgent. And how do you define important? Important can be defined as an activity that you have to complete so that you can achieve your goals. So you have an activity that is urgent, and you have activities that are non-urgent. I won't spend a lot of time here. I will just spend time on the urgent and the non-urgent issues and touch briefly on the 3rd and the 4th quadrant. If you look at issues that I've listed in quadrant 1, so these are the things that we need to do now. That might be, they have a deadline. You might be dealing with an angry customer. You know, you might have to file or pay salaries, because if you don't do that, your employees, will probably go on a strike. So it's very important that you know and notice understand what is urgent, right? Because those things can wait. If you have an angry customer, you can't say, I'll do this next month. You have to do it immediately. So very important. Those are urgent issues. So you are in a crisis mode, right? And there are a lot of us as entrepreneurs who always operate in a crisis mode. And urgent things are important as well. So how do we make sure that we don't spend a lot of time in this quadrant? What we need to do, we now move to quadrant 2. So quadrant 2, it talks about things that are non-agent. So this is a bigger picture. So here we are talking about things that might not have a deadline, but are crucial for you to achieve your business goals. They're not yet urgent. So number 1, you might find that you do what we call weekly reviews in your business to say whether I've achieved my goals, what are my goals for next week. You either sit at the beginning of the year to set your yearly goals, at the beginning of the month to set your monthly goals and review your goals. You might sit and put down crisis prevention strategies. You might say, I want to be coached and mentored so that I can become a better entrepreneur. And you can also be sitting there and daydreaming about where you want to take your business to. So in this instance, what you are doing, you are really making sure that whatever activities you do in this quadrant, they should reduce or diminish the number of quadrant 1 items. And therefore, it will reduce stress. You want to minimize crisis, and you want to feel more in control as an entrepreneur. Because there are some times where you feel that you are not in control. You're just walking around with a fire extinguisher. So if you do your quadrant 2 things well, you plan well, and you know when deadlines are, then you'll experience less of quadrant 1 issues. I hope this is clear. So quickly on quadrant 3, these things are not important, but they happen. So those, I say, they are interruptions. You spend a lot of time, reading junk mail. You get misdirected calls. You get people who just come in to say, I was just passing by, and they take your time. And you sometimes have these unnecessary meetings that could have been just taken an email. And quadrant 4 is what I call distractions, is socializing or chatting on the internet or on WhatsApp unnecessary. Research says an average person spends every 11 minutes, they look at their phone, either WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and all other social media platforms. So imagine if an average person looks at their phone every 11 minutes for almost 2 minutes. Do the math. So we are already wasting time there. So this quadrant is very important. You can use it to make sure that you focus more on quadrant 2. And we are not saying that you will never have a crisis. You do have a crisis, but you would have anticipated that crisis and you'll manage it much, 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 much better. Right. So now we are coming to the next topic of procrastination. I know a lot of us, tend to put things off and say, I'll do it next time, I'll do it next week, I'll do it later. And most of the time, the things that we put off are things that we are not comfortable doing. And sometimes those things, you find that they are not urgent now, but if you do them, or if you don't do them today, they're gonna grow and then become urgent and become a crisis at some point. One of my favorite authors and coach, Brian Tracy, says, if the first thing you do each morning is to eat a live frog, you can go through the day that knowing that probably the worst thing that is going to happen to you all day long is done. So imagine if you eat, first thing in the morning, you eat a frog. I mean, you can now handle anything that comes through the day because you've been through the worst. Then Mark Twain says, the rule of frog eating is this: if you have to eat 2 frogs now, eat the ugliest one first. What this means is that, in terms of time management, is that when you have tasks that you have to do and you don't prefer doing certain tasks, start with the task that you don't like. Because once you're done with that one, then you're energized, you're motivated to go through your day to do other tasks that you enjoy doing. But if you start with the ones that you enjoy, you're still always going to park the one that you don't enjoy doing until it becomes a crisis. So now we need to create some order in our lives, right? Remember, I spoke about mindset. You can create some order in your office space, in your mind, and even on your computer. Because some people struggle to get files that they are looking for or emails that they have received. They don't know where to find them. So they spend time looking for emails. So we're going to talk about creating order. And one of the ways of doing it is through decluttering. But if you look at what research says, they say an average person spends 10% of the day looking for things. I know this is talking to some of us. You don't know where you put your file. You don't know where you put your car keys. You don't know where you save this file and all that. So we end up wasting time looking for things that we don't know where we have stored them. So I'm just going to give you a few tips in terms of how do you go about this decluttering. So I normally use 5S lean process, which helped me to declutter my office space, my mind, and my computer. And what I've realized is that since I started using this, I get more energy, my stress levels go down, and my productivity, increases. So the 5 things that I'll take you through. One is sorting. So what I mean here is that you need to remove unnecessary tools and equipment that you don't need in your working area. You find your place very cluttered, you don't know where to get stuff. You also, your mind is cluttered. You need to create a nice working environment. So then secondly, you need to straighten things. Here, what I mean is that you need to have an effective method, an efficient method of storing your tools. Here it might be your documents on the computer and other tools that you use for working so that you don't spend time looking for them. The third S is about shine. So make sure that the environment is clean. Either it's a digital space or a physical environment, because at all the time it affects your mindset. And fourth one is that it's important that you need to standardize. You need to develop best practice routine, adopt tools, that might be digital tools, and also improve access to simplifying organizing. And the last one, you need to sustain what we have put in place. So you need to be consistent and make sure that you continue to improve by doing spot checks and audits to say, am I doing the right things? Am I still doing the right things? Very important. So it's about the mind, it's about the space. Sometimes digital tools can turn into a waste of time. Let's look at an email. Don't get me wrong. An email is a tool of enormous utility, and it can also be a time waster. Sorry. So I'm going to give you 3 tips in terms of how you can manage emails by adopting the following 3 routines. 1, check your emails twice a day. Decide when, either in the morning and just after lunch, or whatever works for you. But don't just check your emails now and then, unless you got a call, somebody saying, I've sent you an important email, please attend to it. And very importantly, when you're working, because nowadays we are working on our computers, you can hear alerts that you have a new email. Switch off those alerts so that they don't distract you. Then you can go and check your emails at the time that you said you're going to do that. And the second routine is to deal with each message right away. What do I mean? If you realize that the email is going to require that you take more than 30 minutes responding to it, don't do it then. But if it's going to take less than 30 minutes, get it out of your way. Then the third one is dealing with it the right way. Do you have to respond by email, or this needs a phone call, or does it need a meeting? So those are the 3 tips that I want to leave with you today in terms of managing emails. What is my call to action this morning? I've read a book called Extreme Ownership, written by 2 former Navy SEALs, Liv Babin and Jocko Willing. So they were heading the US mission to Iraq. And when they came back, they shared some few lessons through the book that they wrote titled Extreme Ownership. So I just want to share with you 5 principles in closing that I think can work for you as an entrepreneur. But they won't work if you don't resolve to adopt extreme ownership mindset. Principle number 1, it talks about extreme ownership. What simple says that as an entrepreneur, you own everything in your world, and the responsibility, the task that you control directly and indirectly, that decide whether your mission is successful or not. So you need to take ownership of everything. Secondly, you need to believe. As an entrepreneur, you need to believe in your mission. Or if you find yourself doubting or questioning why of this particular mission, then you need to do a deep review and have a discussion around that. And the third one is simplicity. As an entrepreneur, keep your plans as simple as possible, because complexity leads to mistakes, and those mistakes can be catastrophic to the team and to your business. The fourth one is prioritize and execute. Because just having plans alone doesn't mean anything. So what you need to do, you need to locate the highest priority task, which should be your goal as an entrepreneur. Because juggling multiple tasks sometimes can be overwhelming for both you and people in your team. And the probability of failing is high if this happens. And we understand as entrepreneurs, sometimes we run one-man shows, but we need to make sure that we prioritize and focus. And the final one is decisiveness and uncertainty. There will never be 100% right solutions. As an entrepreneur, you need to know and be comfortable with making prompt decisions without all the knowledge or all the information at hand. We all know that business evolves and plans change constantly. Although you should do research, keep in mind that sometimes a decision may need to be made with little or no information to go on. So that's very important. So you need to resolve to adopt extreme ownership mindset to be successful. Thank you for indulging with me. And on the screen there, you find my details. So the other work that I do, I offer 2 interventions, which is scaling up coaching, where I assist entrepreneurs and businesses to scale up their businesses from where they are to where they want to be. And secondly, I assist in terms of raising investment for your business, preparing you to raise investment for your business, because it doesn't just happen by chance. So those are some of the work I do with entrepreneurs. And at the bottom of my slides are details where you can find me. You can reach me by WhatsApp and by email. Then we can see how we take it further. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope I managed to share with you some tips that you can use in your business. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ashley. Look at all those virtual thumbs up and reactions there. Thank you very much. And a lot is happening in the chat. So also feel free to copy and paste later and put it in the chat to your details so that everyone can then also get access to it. That was very insightful. Thank you, Ashley, for that. And there's a lot of notes. If someone is not keeping an eye in the chat, there's some amazing feedback. Thank you, Christoph, for pulling out some thoughts around that. Some of you were asking if you will get the copy of the slide. The way you'll get the copy of the slide is by the recording. You'll have the recording, and of course, the recording will be accessible on the platform. And Rashida will share a bit later how you get access to the platform for our first timers, as some of you have already shared. It's the first time you're here. So once you get onto the platform of DigiViz, you'll then, and not sit in the lobby, but be a member, you will then get access to that. Thank you very much, Ashley. And just before we have Tanya sharing her screen, thank you. Hi, Tanya, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. Before we do that, I would love to kind of get us talking a little bit with the results from the poll, right? And I think also this also helps us with some of the things that were shared by Ashley on moving away from being procrastinators. How can we do that using our calendars? Is there a way now? I would ask also you, Ashley, that the quadrant, is there an electronic version of it that we could probably use in the future? Because right now I see myself using paper to do that, just putting it out there. But any thoughts, Tanya? What comes out to you a lot if you see these results from the poll? Surely there's a lot of people who are using the calendar. Over to you.
Yes. So, I mean, I see there's a lot of people using their electronic diaries and email. Very few have customer lists and CRM systems, but that might be the nature of the audience here. But I take it that this audience has influence over organizations. So they mentor and they coach entrepreneurs and small businesses. So I'm hoping to persuade them that their customers need to have a CRM solution. And anybody that can operate an electronic calendar or email can operate a CRM solution. It's not rocket science. So let's see if we can convert a few people today.
Okay, that's interesting. Because what I like with that one as well is that it also puts in the whole idea of customer lists. Because I'm sure a lot of us have customers or clients that we work with. That could be an entry point into using CRMs or a CRM system. Or even if you're a coach or a mentor and you have mentoring, you have mentees and you're coaching some of your clients, there might be a CRM system that we can use to keep track. I don't know if yours would probably look at it that way for us as well. So those are the important things that I could see there as well, as far as it impacting you as a CRM expert. Christoph, over to you.
I have to say, in the room, we've got Dr. Andre, who keeps reminding me that a good system starts on paper. It starts, sort of, it might in fact not be physical paper, but we start with our processes, not with the fancy digital tools. We start with our processes, understanding what that business process entails. So if it is relating to customers, sort of how do we relate to the customers? And then the tools become ways for us to get more efficient and, sort of more effective in the way that we serve our customers, or for any other business process that we want to think about, sort of. So that's, I think, why Ashley's input is so important to first say, how do we prioritize things is the starting point about our mindset and how we think about the way that we do things. And then we ask, what are the tools then that are helping us to move forward towards? So I'm really looking forward to learn what Tanya is going to tell us about their field. Sort of, I know, Tanya, you're focusing on CRM more than other things, but, all of these tools nowadays, they fit together in many ways, sort of. So looking forward to hear from you.
Thank you.
Great, awesome. Thank you very much. Over to you, Tanya, as you are about to share. Please, everyone, feel free to ask questions in the Q&A tab. And thank you for all the engagement in the chat function. Over to you, Tanya.
Okay, awesome. So just a little bit of background then. So we have been developing these solutions locally from DOS computer days back in 1989. And we have about 1,300 local customers. Our target market, funnily enough, is small to medium enterprises, and literally from one-man companies. I've got some excellent one-man company users, all the way through to 80 to 100 salespeople. And the implementation costs for these solutions are not prohibitive. They are affordable. So you can, you're looking at about a 3,500 Rand setup and training cost per person and 420 Rand a month. So to justify an investment in a CRM, you need to look at that 420 a month and say, you know, am I going to be more productive? And if you value your time at about 1,500 Rand an hour, you're looking at 15 minutes to recover that cost of running a CRM solution. So nobody should say no, you know, as an entrepreneur, or if you're in any way involved in sales or marketing, you really need to look at investing in a CRM solution. It's the biggest return on investment you can get as a small business. So if any of your spend is going towards sales or marketing, let that first spend be that 420 a month. So our solutions are specifically made in South Africa. Our software, our development team is in South Africa. In fact, as the pandemic hit, within 2 days, we were 100% virtual, and we've never gone back. So our developers are all around South Africa. Our implementation and training team are operating from home offices. Our sales team, similarly. Our directors meet more regularly. We tend to meet together at our head office. But the rest of us are 100% virtual. And we don't see any reason for us to move back to a physical office. All of our software is in the cloud, is web-based, so there's no need for us to have a physical location. We do have get-togethers, so we do have a physical meeting or a breakfast. We can't get away from that people contact. It's really, really necessary. Okay, so I'm going to describe to you, sorry, before I get to that, let's just see why sales and marketing people need a CRM solution. So as a salesperson or a sales or marketing person, you have a massive challenge in terms of data. I'd venture to say that we manage more data than the financial team. So we have firstly a database, and the database is not just suppliers and customers. The database is every person you engage with in your marketplace, leads, prospects, customers, and every person in those companies. So we have a huge growing ongoing database. I think our system is 35,000 people at this stage. We also need to manage activity. So salespeople have huge quantities of activities. They say today it takes at least 18 contacts to make a sale. So you're managing emails, tasks, to-dos, and appointments, huge quantities of data. And lastly, your pipeline, so all the active deals that you're working on. And that amounts to a lot of data, plus all of the paper behind it, the quotes and proposals and requirement specifications, all of that. So lots of data that we have to manage, and we need to be efficient. We can't move paper from hand to hand. We need to touch data once and reuse it. In addition to that, obviously, there's the whole prioritization. So salespeople very often are not just looking after customers as an account manager or just doing new business development. Very often in South Africa, their role is dual. They need to do customer retention and new business development. They can't just focus on the next phone call and the next lead coming in. They also have to be proactive and go out and call on their marketplace to look for business. You can't rely on Google AdWords to bring you sufficient business. You need to cold call, and your customers obviously are the easiest place to find business. So a massive challenge then that salespeople are faced with. So I'm going to just describe the CRM environment, how we use these tools in order to be professional sales and marketers. So I think let's start with this flow of data through the organizations. I think everybody could relate to this. So So in the sales and marketing environment, it starts on the leads front end. And those leads very often come in electronically. They come from call to action pages on LinkedIn, on your website, your contact us page. On our website, we have a free trial. You can sign up to use the software. So we capture those leads electronically. We don't touch that data, it captures itself. So as you enter that data, it loads directly into your system, and anybody can do that. Any web developer can make that link on your website. It's probably 10 lines of code that would push that lead into your CRM solution. So that's fairly basic. So we do that. The data then goes into your customer database, or prospect and customer database, your private marketplace, without you having to touch it, obviously. So the data converts, you don't have to type it in. We can't prevent some manual data entry. Customers phone in. They don't want to go to the website and send a note. They sometimes phone in, and we do have to actually type in their name and address. Bit of a blow, but we do that if we have to. That customer database also doesn't want to work in isolation. There's data about customers that we don't have that is gathered on the financial side of the business through debtors, through invoicing. So we connect our CRM solution to the ERP solutions. And with your cloud accounting solutions, this is all free. It comes out of the box with your CRM solution. You connect your system to your Sage Cloud solution, and then instantly we have all the debtors loaded and with their sales history. And that keeps updating every day. So that data, and it helps us to get a 360-degree view of a customer. And it's free. Nothing, the salesperson doesn't need to type anything. So now he has his clients, and he can see what they spend with you, what they buy, what they don't buy, is an increasing or decreasing trend. Very valuable data. So we don't work in isolation. We need to connect the one tool to the other tool, connect your CRM electronic cloud-based system to your cloud-based accounting solution. So we have that in place. So then we need to generate proposals and quotations. We meet with customers and need to present that, and your CRM solution will automate that. So sales managers will enable the sales team by loading marketing collateral, brochures, price lists. So the salesperson can simply go in, click, 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 and reduce the time to get that quote and proposal out to the customer to as little as possible. So that's the next step. And as you prepare that proposal, it's automatically loaded into the management system. So sales managers now are aware of what's happening. Once that's, before we get to convert the deal, there's activity management. So salespeople are going to need to book appointments to see clients. They're going to need to schedule to-dos. In fact, when you generate quotes, it automatically schedules tasks for you to follow up on those quotes. And your CRM system needs to work with your electronic diary and mail client, be that Gmail, be it Outlook, whatever you're using. So that is in place with your CRM system out of the box. You can enter, first time you actually try to connect to your mail, it'll ask you to log in and save that setting, and then you connect it. So every time you book an appointment in your system, it's automatically in your Outlook calendar. If you send a mail from your mail client, it's forwarded into your CRM solution. And if you send a mail from the CRM solution, you email a quote and so on, passes it to your Outlook or to your Gmail and sends it out through your mail client to the customer. It's critical because it must come from you to the customer, not from your CRM, no reply at Blue Wave. It needs to come from your mail client to the customer. Okay, so the two tools working together then. Our database is talking through our electronic calendar and our electronic email. So then when your quotation converts, we've now got a brand new data. We've got a client loaded, we've got their name, their email address, their physical address, all in the CRM. And we now want to transfer that to the accounting solution. We've got an order now. So that's in place as well. And connected, as it's connected to read the invoice history, it's also connected to send a new client directly back into your financial system. So if it's a new client, it'll raise a debtor, it'll push through a sales order, So your finance people, in fact, our accountant said to me, it used to take her 10 to 15 minutes to capture a new client and create their first invoice. Now it's probably 60 to 90 seconds for her to go into the quote, say they've ordered that, that, and that, push button, loaded the data, now I can just preview the invoice. Is it correct? Are the terms right? And send it off to my customer. So we've got nice flows then from sales into finance and so on. And then finally into after sales. So it's as important to look after a customer once they've bought from you as it is while you're selling to them. So we need to automate the after sales process. We want to take what they've ordered and start the fulfillment process, transfer it a job into the after sales side so we can now deliver that product and support and maintain it. So proactively set up contact cycles to keep in touch. So there's nice flows then into after sales as well. So I think the only thing I've missed on the marketing side is bulk mailing. So these tools do connect together. You can filter nicely in your system. You've categorized your database and segmented it. You can select certain segments, export it into your bulk mailing system. And the bulk mailing system talks back to the CRM as well. So if we select all the prospects we quoted in the last 2 years in a particular industry, and we send a bulk mailer, and the bulk mailer says, oh, these people have left, their emails are bouncing. It again talks back to the CRM and takes those out. So it self-cleans your database. Then one last component in this digital environment is the business intelligence. So we have business intelligence tools on top of all of this data that convert the data to information. So, and this is for all levels of the organization. Your salesperson needs to self-manage his data. How does he manage his marketplace of customers? He's got to proactively call all of his clients. He needs to know if he's missed anyone. Who have I not seen in 3 months? I'm going to Polokwane this morning. Who else is there? Etc. So salespeople need to manage their data. Sales managers have different requirements from the graphs and so on, but they also need statistics and graphs. And even your strategic management can get very valuable information out of the BI tools. What are we issuing in terms of quotes? What is the conversion rates? What happened with this promotion? What was the result of that, etc., etc. So this is a digitally transformed environment, and it's there for you at $4.20 a month. So no excuses. So there is a summary slide there for you, just converting those pictures into text, just so you can see how all the tools work together in this CRM environment. I'm not wasting too much time on the slides, because I'd like to show you a little bit of these digital graphs and so on, and how super they are to work with in terms of time saving. I think I've said a lot of what's here under salesperson, integrating to your diary, your ERP, etc., etc. Perhaps what I should say a little bit about sales managers, because it's quite likely that you're mentoring and coaching sales managers, is that these tools elevate your sales manager to mentor and coach. Your sales manager no longer has to be involved with the detailed data. He receives reports, graphs, dashboards, stats daily. It's live connected. So when he's talking to his sales team, he can focus in and assist a rep to negotiate a particular deal, or say, look, the values you're quoting are not sufficient for you to reach your targets. So he no longer has to play policeman. You could say that this structure, this CRM structure that you're using, is kind of become the policeman. So you're elevating your sales manager to do the things that humans do well, coaching salespeople, etc. And the same with your marketers as well. Any points here that I might have missed? The customer service side, we go so far as to actually digitize job cards. So technicians no longer have bits of paper that get lost and you can't read their writing, etc., etc. They take photos on electronic job cards, they log the spares used, etc. And as they click submit, all of that data is back in the office, so we can start invoicing the technical work. POPI compliance is worth mentioning for strategic management. So as well as data visualization and graphs and business intelligence that we push to them and we broadcast to them, we can set up the systems to do that it sends the reports to them. We also helping with POPI compliance. It's critical that customer data is not lying around on laptops, and it's not emailed back and forth. That if you use these sort of tools, the data goes into the cloud, into boxes. If a salesperson leaves you and you deactivate him, there's nothing lying on his machine. And it's not easy to steal. You can't, as a salesperson, go in and say, just give me my 5,000 down into Excel. So they're prevented from doing that kind of thing. The business owners obviously have access to that. But so you've got controlled access to that data, and it's securely stored and saved. Should your laptop be stolen, nobody's going to see anything on there. You're not going to have any loss of data. I think we've mentioned a little bit about marketing, but perhaps worth mentioning lead nurturing. So you can set up drip campaigns in your CRM to supplement the face-to-face selling. So as they are doing their sales process, you've got marketing messages going out. Okay, so I wanted to refer you to this article. It's quite recent. It's written by a lady journalist, so being Women's Month, 11 Benefits of CRM. And I took 2 quotes out of her article. She mentioned higher productivity and efficiency, and she was saying that CRM software uses marketing automation technology to expedite menial tasks like drip campaigns, which frees up your staff to focus on work only humans can handle. So, you all thought that AI coming along would mean you didn't have to work anymore. No chance. So computers can automate some stuff, but the real work, the negotiating work, talking to customers, nurturing them and supporting them, that has to be done by people. So we want to free up humans to do human work and let computers do the donkey work. She also mentions in this article that businesses of all sizes, from solo freelancers to enterprise level corps, can all use CRM effectively. And I think I've demonstrated that for 420 a month, that you can all be efficient and effective. So how am I doing for time? Okay, so I think we've got a little bit of time just to have a look at some software. So in case you think what I'm saying is smoke and mirrors. Okay. Okay, so 2 little bits of software I'd like to show you. Firstly, and very briefly, I don't want to sell CRM. I just want to show you 3 bits of the CRM software. So this is the bit that the salesperson people are using, and they have 3 primary views. They've got a database. So there, with one click, I can access my 35,000 companies and people, 19,000 companies, 37,000 people, and I can get to those people quite easily. If I type here blue, it'll access any company that's got the word blue in the company name. So then I've got, secondly, my activity side. So I mentioned these 3 bits of data that the salespeople manage: database, activity. So here's my diary, and which is replicated in Outlook. Every appointment I put in here is also in Outlook, even recurring appointments, even invitations. If I invite multiple parties to meetings, they all get activities on the CRM solution, and my to-do list. So the to-do list is populated sometimes by salespeople, generating reminders, but also by the software. If I generate a proposal, it instantly schedules follow-up calls. All these activities that have numbers next to them are quotes that I've generated, the system is prompting me to follow up on. And then finally, the pipeline. So the new business that I'm chasing is just for my list. So I've got different security levels in the company. I can see everything, but there's my list. So I've got 44 active deals at the moment, and I can chase those through a sales process. So that's the part that the salesperson is using all the time. But let's now have a look at the powerful tools that save time for me. So if I go into my business intelligence platform, so these business intelligence tools work very much like Excel, and you can go into them and say, select this data and paint a pie chart. So Dylan does a lot of that in our business for our customers. We have whole suites of standard dashboards, graphs, and reports for our clients, but sometimes, in fact, very often, each business is unique and they have specific KPIs they want to track on their dashboards. So Dylan will craft those very quickly for the client, create a unique dashboard for our customers. But let's have a look at some of the power here. So one of the most powerful aspects is this account management graphical view that I have. And when I go in here, if I select a specific salesperson, so let's just pick on Kuli Malloy, one of my colleagues here, and we'll say, just show us his customer base. So it'll graphically show me for the last year, last September to this year, August, sorts his customers by type. So not all clients are the same. We have A's, we have B's, we have C's. The bigger ones are going to need more attention, those that bring more value. So we sort them by type, and then we can see how much activity is actually happening. I see you like that. There's lots of hearts coming though. Okay. So, and perhaps I want to see, well, yeah, there's lots of emails there. That's cluttering things a little bit. Let's take the emails out and let's just see which clients have been touched either telephonically or face-to-face. Let's just refresh that quickly. So I'm taking the email component off. Now I can see, you know, who has Nkuli actually spoken to. And in the last 3 months, perhaps, who is he missing in terms of interactions? Okay, and some of those mails could be bulk mails and promotions and so on. So it's nice to be able to do that. So that's very useful. From a sales manager's perspective, here's a nice one. We call it a sales performance index, something we've been trying to get to for 30 years in this industry. A view of all the sales and marketing activity flowing through the solution. So I've got the current week and the current month. New leads coming in. Face-to-face meetings happening. We have a target of 80 face-to-face a month. We're on 84 complete. So looks like we're going to well exceed our target this month in terms of face-to-face activity. Quotations, we try to quote 2 million a month. We're a bit down on that at the moment. And then conversions, as those deals are converting, we can see that against the targets. We're starting to approach the end of the month. We're at 76% already. So I can open this at any time. Usually we do it weekly in sales meetings and see exactly where we are. And then the other one I thought you might like is also for the salesperson. And this is some mapping. So as soon as we load a person into our system and we enter their street address, it goes and fetches from Google their latitude and longitude, and we store that in the system. So now if I'm going to a particular location, so let's just select a customer. Oh, forgive me for displaying their name on my system. Oh, sorry. I didn't select, sorry. Okay, so I've selected a particular client. It defaults to a 5-kilometer radius, which I can change. And then I say, just map that for me. So it's, sorry. Trying to scroll up, my face is in the way. Okay, so at the top there's a map. Just scroll out a little bit. The client's actually in Spartan. And around the client, you can see lots of pins. The red pins are prospective clients and the blue are customers. And directly underneath the map, it shows the names by radius, the names of those clients and what their street address is. Are they customers or prospects? So I can say, well, perhaps I have not seen Medina in a while. Maybe I need to go and see them while I'm there. So I'm going there next week, Tuesday. Let's phone Medina. Let's phone these clients and book the other ones in a location. If you're going somewhere a little bit further away, that's a bit more rural, you might need a bigger radius. So you simply expand that. You just say, well, give me, you know, a 12K radius. So people that I could possibly see in one day. Give me a 12K radius, I'll give you the first sort of 50 people within those 12 kilometers. Okay. How am I doing for time?
Amazing.
Okay.
I love all the reactions. I love the questions. And Dylan, thank you for responding.
It's Dylan responding. Awesome. Okay. All right. So I hope that gives everybody a feel. I'm sure you're going to share my presentation with everybody so they can. We've got homework. Good. Thanks, Rebecca.
Awesome. Great. Thank you very much, Tanya. I know time is flying by very quickly. And thank you all for your questions, your comments, and your virtual hugs and claps and everything. But I would love to go on further, but let's get Melisua going, and then we can chat a little later. Over to you, Nelisiwe. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity. It was lovely hearing from both Ashley and Tanya. A lot of what I have to say is very similar to what Ashley had to say. However, I'm just going to give it from a woman's perspective. And it being Women's Month, happy Women's Month to every woman in the platform. And I will just also redirect it to be more entrepreneur focused and businesswoman focused, or career woman focused, if I can put it that way. And what I would like to say is, firstly, you are hearing from somebody who is an owner of her own company. I do coaching and training, and I'm a mother. I'm a new mother. I have a 7-month-old baby at home. Okay, and with work-life balance, we were at a point where I had gotten to a point where I'm able to wake up at 5, be at the gym, and be at work by 8, and do a lot of things, okay? And that was prior to me having a baby. And as soon as I had a baby, I had to then sit back and reevaluate that. So with that in mind, I want us to talk about what exactly is work-life balance, okay? So work-life balance is it's the way in which you look at how much time you spend doing your work versus the amount of time you spend doing personal interest things that are of interest to you, or things that you're doing at home. Tobeka, I'm not sure I can go on without the slides. So the idea of work-life balance comes from, is it really work-life balance? Are we trying? It almost separates the two, as if your work is not a part of your life, or your life is not a part of your work. So the term has been revisited, and it is now, they say that it's better to call it work-life integration, because they don't happen in isolation, okay? So you still have to do your work as part of living your life. So as an example, I'll use myself. In April, my baby was just about to turn 3 months old, and I had to travel. I had to go to Econoc for a couple of days. And the question then became, am I going to leave this 3-month-old baby? Or am I going to say no to the work? And needless to say that I was there to seal a 7-month contract. So it then meant, if you think about it, I was pregnant for half of last year, which then meant after getting to my 6th month of pregnancy, I'm not able to travel as much. My work entails a lot of travel. So I spend a lot of time on the road. I spend a lot of time training, because I'm in the developmental space, and usually projects are in rural development. So I spend a lot of time away from Johannesburg. So what then that meant is, am I now going to say, I'm not going to take this project because my baby is not even 3 months old today? Or am I going to take it and secure a 7-month contract for myself? And that is how I want us to look at work-life balance today, from a perspective of a woman, okay? So for me, that then meant I have to sit back and reevaluate, okay? People will say that having a well-balanced life means that you are able to be at home equally as much as you are able to be at work. And then I had to sit for myself and ask myself, is it really that way? Is it, if I try too hard to maintain this balance and say that I need to be enough time at home and enough time at work, am I going to get a balance, or am I going to get a very comfortable home life and a very frustrated financial life? So that then for me meant I am not going to be able to achieve a balance that way. So for me, the most important thing for a person to achieve a work-life balance is to sit back and evaluate where you are. What is your own circumstance, and what does it look like? What will it look like when you are trying to do everything, okay? So it similarly as going to the gym, yes, a balanced life means that you need to take care of your health, you need to take care of your time, but there is this disillusionment of saying that people need to spend equally enough time. If I were to probe most of you right now to think about the things that you need to do in a day and say, will you be able to allocate equal time to them? Can I equally spend as much time going to sports, watching my children play sport? Am I equally going to be able to spend enough time doing my work. And if I try to do that, that is the best way, the quickest way for me to find myself frustrated. Okay, because I won't be able to even afford to put them in those extramural activities that they enjoy so much. So for me, work-life balance meant that the ability to evaluate at a given time and being able to prioritize what needs to be done at this particular time. So it is very important that how do you prioritize your time? Look at how you prioritize your time versus the time management. They work hand in hand. And how I normally do it is, I think Ashley gave us a whole breakdown of the time management tools, but how I then look at it as chunk up the things that you need to do. Okay, by chunking up, it means that you have a whole list of things that need to get done, and you look at which ones are able to fall off. Okay, and the things that are able to fall off, there's important things that you need to do, but they are not urgent. So the things that you need to do that are not urgent, you schedule them for a later time. Okay, it's very important for me to spend time with my kids. Okay, but is it something that I need to be scheduling during my work time? Is it something that I need to be scheduling at 2 o'clock, or is it something that I'm able to schedule at 6 p.m.? Okay. And also going back to that earlier example that I work in an environment where I work with men, and with all these tools, I mean, there's the 5 a.m. club. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with that, where we've been given a schedule that to be highly effective, how must you conduct your life? Okay. And I was at a point prior to this baby, because my youngest before this one is now 11. I had gotten to a point where my life is a breeze and I am able to do things in my own time. And voila, there's a new baby. So there had been a time in my life where I was able to be at the gym at 5. Like in the recent past, I was able to be at the gym at 5. Me re-evaluating that then means that I now need to put my outputs as the results of what I'm doing become a priority rather than how I'm doing it, when I'm doing it. So you need to put yourself in a space where the people you are working with, they understand that the product that you're going to produce or the output that you're going to bring is what matters most. Then I'm able to still say, evaluate between the times that my children need me. If my child is having a tournament, and it's a regular tournament, yes, I can say I'll miss some of the tournaments away and I'll come to the tournaments where you're playing home ground, and I'll be able to come to your finals, but I won't watch every game. And my kids understand that. So it's very important to say, for me to achieve a good work-life balance, it's for me to also be able to say that one area of my life is not affecting the other, such that I wind up with a lot of frustration. Can you put the next slide for me, please? So with the time management, it's the tools that we've been given a lot of tools. I think Ashley mentioned a lot of tools where I normally refer to Notion, where you are scheduling things in and you know what needs to be done and you know what you need to put off. Okay, so there's a quadrant that I normally use. I saw it on Ashley's slides as well, where there's important things and things that I personally need to do and things that I can give somebody else to do. So it becomes very important that you're able to delegate some of these things and be able to say no with your time. Because when you work in an environment where you're working with other people, it's easy for people to say, Nelly, can you do this at this particular point in time? You need to be able to say, yes, I can do it, but I'm not going to be able to do it right now. Or no, I'm not going to be able to do it. And get to a point where you are confident in saying that I do what needs to be done, but there's also the element of me that needs to be taking care of other things. Okay, you need to be confident in, even in the home, both. You need to be confident in saying, I'm still a good mother by knowing that I want to produce for you a certain standard of living, and I'm not going to be able to do it if I am here all day, every day. So don't get to a point, I'm speaking to as an entrepreneur's perspective, because if you are able to spend a lot of time with your children, by all means do. And if you are able to be a full-time home-based mom, by all means do. But if you are in a position like mine, where you still need to be a businesswoman, where you still need to work and you still need to travel, you need to get to a point where you speak to yourself and your mental health. It will help you to understand the need for you to be able to do some of the things, and you will find balance in that way, that as I travel, as I'm away from home every other day, I'm still a good mother because my children are able to get A, B, and C by me being in a position to provide this way. But most importantly, the productivity part, yes, it becomes more important that it doesn't matter in which sphere, how you're doing it. And I don't have to physically be in the office for me to be producing my work. I think the guys at DJs have now gotten used to the fact that at times I take a meeting and I'm at the office. I take a meeting and I'm at home. And I've gotten to that point where it's not questionable. Nobody will ever question if I am doing my 100% by not being at or by not being at the office, because my output is consistent. I'm always producing the standard of work and the quality of work that I need to provide. And then also, when it comes to wasting time gets wasted. The most important tool that Ashley mentioned is that when you don't schedule things and you wind up just doing a lot of touching here, going there, and you don't know. And at the end of the day, you don't know what you've really done. That's when the burnout comes in. That's when you feel like you don't know what you're doing because you've been busy. But what is the output? So time wasting is another way of just looking at things and realizing that you need to have a schedule of when are you doing this, why are you doing it, and then in that way you will find that you will be a lot more productive. Okay, and then the last one that I want to speak of is self-care. All right, because as a woman, we wind up just caring for everybody else. Like I've been speaking this whole time, I've spoken about work, I've spoken about children, and at no point have I spoken about myself. Okay, and we tend to do that a lot as women. So we need to take the time to just sit back and shut off, okay, and say that it's about me. It's okay if I shut my door and I'm like, please do not disturb me for the next 20 minutes, okay? Please do not ask anything of me for the next 20 minutes. It doesn't make me a bad mother. It does not make me a bad colleague. It does not make me a bad anything, a bad wife. It just simply means that in order for me to be able to pour into all of these cups, I need to be full, and I need to take the time to fill my own cup first and take care of myself, take care of my mental health, reflect. But in everything that you do, constantly evaluate what is going on at a given time. And with your evaluation, you'll be able to see where should I plant my time more. Just don't make the mistake of being too obsessed with planting your time at specific things that another area suffers. Have the discernment to know that sometimes it will need me to give more time to my work so that I don't struggle in the next 6 months, in the next 10 months. And sometimes I will need to, if I am as productive and I'm giving enough time to the things that need to be given time to, then I'm able to then also come back and be the perfect mother when the need arises. All right, that's all from me, Tobeka.
Thank you very much, Nelisiwe. Thank you. I think there's a lot going on. Christoph, any questions that have come up? But also thank you, while Christoph is looking on that, thank you very much, Nelisiwe, for sharing your viewpoint, how you tackle it as well, because of course these topics are not hypothetical, but also through our own experiences as we are navigating life in 2023, because we have so many things that we do as parents, as aunts, as whoever we are, whatever roles we play as runners of our organizations. Thank you very much as well, Tanya, for sharing and just putting in your viewpoint. You're the owner of it, so this must be an interesting lens as well as a woman, how you started and what are your things, how you tackled your different lenses of being who you are. Yeah, some of us, I don't have kids, but that doesn't mean that I don't play a role of a mom for my nieces and nephews. That's for sure. That's what I have, and my grandnieces. But on that note, Christoph, any questions that came out, anything that you picked up?
There are indeed a few hands of people that may want to say something more too, and there's some questions, and thank you very much in the back end for answering the questions diligently, Dylan and other panelists too.
Yeah.
Rebecca, for me, that word integration that Nelly used is a very important one. You know, sort of the integration of the priorities for ourselves, what we want to achieve for ourselves. You can call it your personal or private life, and what we want to achieve for ourselves in terms of our business lives. You know, sort of. And I think what Ashley brought to us is a clear understanding that you know, we can't expect tools to fix our own mindset and our own prioritizing of things. Tools may help us in doing so. But that can integrate very well with what Tanya has been speaking about in terms of our data and gathering of data. So this is really for reminding us about that it starts with the gathering of data so that we can use that data, that information, and the tools help us, the apps helps us to organize that information in a way that's useful for business growth, you know, sort of. So yeah, and then this concept of integrating these things into something that works for us in our businesses, I think is a very powerful and important one. But yeah, there are a few questions that most of them have been answered in the text chat. So, but there are perhaps some that we can focus on. And I see Nomvuyo's has got one for us, looks like.
Yes. I will hand over. Thank you very much, Christoph. And just to double check, Jerome and our three hands, before I let Nomvuyo speak. I see we have from Jerome, Delphine, and Laurentia. I just want to check if your hands are really up, but if it's in error, please go to raise hand and then put it down. Otherwise, we will then come to you in a minute. Over to you, Ms. Nomvuyo.
I actually don't have a question. I was just, but I can make a contribution. And thank you so much to all the panelists. The contribution that I would like to make is a tip that I do and I often give to my coaches, and that's called the golden hour, in which I plan the night before what I'm going to do the next day. And the thinking behind it is make tomorrow today. Make tomorrow today. And I found that very helpful. Just an hour at the end of the day to plan for tomorrow, and that helps very much. That's just what I can add. But thank you very much. It has been very helpful.
Great. Thank you very much, Mrs. Nomvuyo. Anyone else, just before we have our speakers, our attendee wanting to respond? So, Sfiso, if you want to say anything, please feel free to let me know or unmute, as telling Andre as well, if there's something you want to talk to. But also just to get us started, before we get to the questions, please do give us feedback. It's very few questions, only 7 questions, very simple. Please answer those. It will give us insight on how we can continue making sure that we do what our community would like us to do versus us dictating to the community what we think the community needs. And of course, for an example, this topic shows that it came out of a coaching session, out of Mrs. Nomvuyo and the coaches recognizing that, wait a minute, as entrepreneurs, as business practitioners, we're having a hard time. Why don't we bring this in as a topic? Before that, we had also a previous session, and that was also because it was discussed in the community of practice sessions, and we thought, let's bring that in. So why I'm sharing this is just so that for our newcomers to recognize that we cook what you put in the pot so that we can all eat together. So we can be healthy physically, we can be healthy mentally, we can be healthy spiritually, which means holistically, which means a better you, a better family, a better community, a better business, a better future, and we see what we want to see in the world. On that note, Maddie, you are here, your hand is up. Please unmute, say something, and then we'll hand over to Delphine after you. Over to you, Maddie.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I've actually just raised something in the question and answer which Dylan explained based on Tanya's presentation. I thought that it looked quite technologically complicated to use the system, and he responded, it's not. That if you can use Outlook, you can use the system. So I just thought it was also so a comment here by somebody who's feeling a bit, anxious about using the system. So just to remind everybody, it seems to be something that will be easy to use. I also asked him about the setup cost of 3,500. Is that per organization or per person working in the organization? He confirmed it's per organization, but it will depend, of course, on the how complicated the setup is in a specific organization and the number of staff. So I just wanted to give people that kind of comfort. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maddie. Daphne, over to you. Okay, Daphne's not unmuting, or maybe it's taking a while to reach. Or Laurentia, over to you.
Thanks, Rebecca. I hope you are doing well, and congratulations on a wonderful webinar. I had to make time for this, and fortunately or unfortunately, it came because I wasn't feeling very well. I'm a little bit under the weather. I've been traveling through a few provinces, so I actually had the time today to listen and actually be here, and I don't regret it. I actually feel a little bit better, especially after the presentation from Nelly. So Nelly, thanks for those tips. I'm just still wondering, or I'm assuming, and I hope my assumption is correct, that you managed to combine the baby of 3 months and getting that contract of 7 months. I really hope so. My question, rather proposal, Rebecca, would be, if I weigh how I enjoyed and found the contributions and presentations helpful in the webinar, I was unable to attend any of the COP sessions yet. And the reason for that is because it's happening in the morning at 9 o'clock, and that's the time when I sit with staff members. I deal with the learners in class. So it makes it impossible to get around. It doesn't matter how I plan, Nelly. I just don't get around to it. And I'm regretting it, because if I enjoy the webinar this much, can you imagine how much strength would I have pulled, and resources and capacity from
Are you still there, or is it me? Okay.
Are you able to hear me, Rebecca?
Yeah, yes. Keep going.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was asking if it's possible. If it's not, okay, then I have to lose out or plan better. But can we have some COP sessions around 6 o'clock as we have the monthly network sessions? It really works, and I really think I could benefit a lot more. That was my request. But in general, congratulations on a wonderful webinar, guys. Great kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that feedback and that encouragement. And I'm very happy you made it. Take care of your health as a belief. Drink a lot of liquids, firstly, and rest as well, as much as you can. I hear you. It is always challenging, this time thing. And maybe we can see, let's maybe run a poll or something and get feedback. We've already had how many sessions so far? 3. Maybe the last of the month of the year to kind of, or so ever, we could change. I don't know. I like the idea of 6 p.m. as well, even though this time it won't work on my... If we could do that next week already, I would be happy. I wouldn't have to wake up at 2 in the morning at the moment. But thank you for that insight. I think it would be very good. But I love the space as well. And it is what it is because of you. We are just creating the space, and we are really encouraging you to come, and we are here to help each other out. I think that's the most important. As you can see, the dates of our next sessions that I shared earlier on, we are sharing those. We'll put them in the chat as well. Please, if you're a first timer, I see a couple of you are, please go onto the web link, register, but Rashida will share that in a moment. On that note, should I hand it over to you, Rashida, or should we have Laurentia come in? But also keep an eye on our DigiBiz while I wait for Rashida to unmute. Please keep an eye on our LinkedIn, because we're there, we're active. There's a lot going on in there. Please make sure that you follow us and you'll see what's happening. And on that note, should I hand it over to you, Rashida, just to give us an outline of the platform for those who are our first timers, so that they can understand what we do.
Yeah, no worries. Happy to do that.
Wonderful.
So thank you so much for a brilliant session. These are the things we overlook. We often want to get to the big things first, but if we start with the basics, the foundations, start with I think then we're starting at a good point. So thank you for this lovely webinar, team. So just to get to the network, so if you would like to get recordings to our sessions, have access to COPs, which is community of practices, is where we actually get down to workshopping the ideas around how we can support small businesses and practitioners and researchers and data users to enable the small business ecosystem, actually, so that we all, find a space virtually to connect. And so we've chosen a platform called the Mighty Networks platform. At our last networking event, I'm sure many of you were there, but we did a demo. So we did a demo on how to use the platform. We went into some real detail. So here, this slide, you'll see it's very brief, sort of how to access. I'll just go through it quickly. But in order to apply to the DigiBiz platform, you go to the website that Tobeka just shared. We'll share it again now. Yeah, Tobeka just shared it. So if you go to that, you'll get to this number one step, where it shows you the little orange button to join. You then move on to a short sign-up form where you have to put in your name, surname, email, and your password. Once you do that, you would then officially have a request pending for you to be a part of the network. I received that request. I could then approve that request. In the meantime, you would be, once I approve your request, then you would actually be onboarded onto the platform. However, you will only be lodged in the lobby, because in order to access the content that we produce, which is articles, events, recordings, etc., COPs, discussion groups, you would need to be a part of the DigiBiz members network. Now, you don't pay to be a part of it. A lot of people ask me that, but it's all we need is from you is to just fill out a form that just gives us sort of an idea of your demographic, that statistics we use to improve our program, as well as make sure that we are, including as many groups as possible within this space. So please do fill that out in order for you to become a full DigiBiz member. And what's nice about the platform, you will be greeted with a welcome checklist. So this is on your welcome checklist. If you complete your welcome checklist, I immediately get a notification. I immediately put you into the members network. You gain immediate access. If you don't complete the checklist, you will probably get a response from me 7 days later, because I do check, on all the forms once a week. But if you complete your checklist, I get it instant and I can do it immediately. But if it is, that you are dealing with a lot and you only get to it when you get to it, that's fine. You may receive an email from me, from this email at number 4, and it will tell you to just join the network that you are now part of, because I would have then, of course, filed all your information and you would now be in the network. If any of this sort of still isn't clear, you're always welcome to reach me directly at rashida@theepi.org, which I'll put my email in the chat. But yeah, for now, I think that's it. Is there anything else you think I may have missed, Tobeka or Krista?
No, that's good, because the nice thing is that since we did do the recording, people will have access into the recording to listen if they do need to know how to access the platform. But of course, you're always there. They can always send you a comment on the platform, and that way then they'll have access. and we can continue making some good food for ourselves. Christoph, anything else?
Yeah, I would love to hear the final takeaways from our three guests, and maybe from and Andre and from Vuyo as well. But just on that platform, there's some new exciting stuff. So thanks for the 130 odd people that stayed till the end, because you're the first ones to hear that there is fresh content that we are now publishing on the website, new information that we are creating. We are busy writing up some case studies, success stories from South African businesses that are implementing digital progression projects, some tips and tools around what kind of solutions people are finding work, and also summaries of our previous events. And this event, there will also be a recording and a summary of some of the key takeouts that we will be putting on the platform. Of course, it's also a network, so there you can engage with others. And some of the names here are people that are actively having discussions around these issues on the platform. So what we've done in the text chat, the discussions that we had there, we can take on into the platform and keep comparing notes, keep learning from each other, and keep getting better at what we do.
Great. Thank you very much, Christoph. And then I would like to give our panelists about 30 seconds each to kind of give us their closing remarks. And I'll start with our first speaker because they've had more quiet time. And then after that, I'll hand over to Andre to share some insight because we haven't heard his lovely voice. Over to you, Ashley.
Thank you, Thobeka. Thank you for the invite, and it was quite a learning experience for myself. As much as I was sharing with entrepreneurs, the more I listened to other speakers, I realized that, and the comments on the chat, I realized that we need to, little by little, contribute towards building a conducive environment. It might not have the access to funding levers, but mindset to me is important, and also making sure that you are ready, you meet minimum requirements. And the last thing, make sure that you have grit, that is passion and perseverance. Then likely you will achieve your goals. Thank you, and do have a great weekend, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Ashley. And Tanya, I would like to give you an opportunity. Over to you. Or was it actually Nelly?
Thanks for the invite. I think what I took note of was that somebody said, it looks difficult, it looks technical. So perhaps at another date we could have a session where we can just show people how easy it is to use a digital CRM solution. And so it's like riding a bicycle. When you know where to click, it's very, very simple. So perhaps we should dispel that myth one day.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tanya. Yes, so let's see some reaction to that idea, guys. Do you think that's something you would like to see? Let's thumbs up if you feel that would be useful. Over to you, Nelisiwe.
Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to be here with you today. And also just what I want to reiterate is that time is the most important thing, but it's time that we waste the most. So if we can learn to take care of our time, then we can live really good lives. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Nelisiwe. Thanks a million. Andre, any thoughts, any insights?
Yes, thank you very much. I must say I enjoyed the polling part of this, because there are quite a number of people who might say, okay, I'm not even digitized yet. Will I ever get to a CRM system? Will I ever be able to? Yes, you can. If you do it correctly from the start, ask for assistance where you can. I've known Tanya for most probably 20 years. And we implemented one of her systems in the 80s, I think. And that system was unbelievable. It's not, they help you they simplify your job for you. So yes, you can. I've seen the latest, we use it. And I'm not selling for Tanya, no. But if we go, or if you look at digital progression, if you look at this change that we have to go through, it can be simplified. Yes. It's not impossible. You don't have to be an expert in everything. No. There are ways and there are means that it can be done. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Andre. And I think also Sinomvuyo is echoing your thoughts, because she shared her view as well to say the system is user-friendly in the chat. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for making it here and giving us your precious time. And really take care of yourself. The most important, take care of your mental health, your physical health. And have a good one. And let's dance it out and have a phenomenal weekend and a great day ahead. Sending you lots of love. Seeing you all next week.